Hello again, economics students. Okay, so up until this point, you have been putting up with me jabbering on about how amazing the market is and how great it is at allocating resources efficiently, which it is up until a point. Of course, the market is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, and in this video, we're going to start to look at specific types of market failure. In fact, we're going to define market failure. So here they are. We need to understand 4 types of market failure: public goods, externalities, asymmetric information, and common access resources. There are more, but these are the ones that VCEE wants you to learn, so they're the ones that we're going to do. Now, it's very important when we're thinking about these market failures, you need to think of a world where no government intervention exists. So we're thinking about how the market would do by itself at achieving efficiency. Then later on, we're going to add in the government. And of course, in Australia, and in fact all around the world, the government does play a big role in the allocation of resources, and that's because they understand the market fails. But for now, let's just assume we're just talking about a free and competitive market, which means no government intervention, many buyers and sellers, it's competitive, and so on. So, first of all, the definition of market failure is when the market does not achieve efficiency. It's that specific. When it does not achieve one of our 4 types of efficiencies, we could say the market has failed. However, as you'll see as we go through each of these failures, each of them has a specific set of conditions or characteristics that we need to see in order to label them that particular market failure. Okay. So in the background, you should be thinking, well, market failure is when the market fails to allocate resources efficiently. But for Year 12 economics, you just need to know the characteristics of those 4 failures. So let's look into them. So here are the characteristics that will help us identify 2 of those 4 market failures. So the first new concept here is the idea of excludability. And this is the degree to which a consumer can be stopped from purchasing a good or service if they don't pay. So really it's about how costly it is, because we can always stop someone from getting access to something, but it's about how costly it is and how practical it is to stop someone from using something if they do not pay. It's not very hard for Apple to stop us from getting an iPhone if we don't pay. Most consumable products that you or I buy have a high degree of excludability, right? It's pretty easy for the business to say, you don't pay, you don't get. Secondly is the degree of rivalry, whether something's rivalrous or not. Now, it's a bit of a fancy word, so I like to think of it as depletable or depletability, which I don't think is a word, but it's okay for you to think about it that way. And really what that looks at is the degree to which one person's consumption, say my consumption, reduces the next person's consumption, so your consumption. So what does that actually mean? You and I cannot consume the same cheeseburger, right? We can't own the same iPhone. So something that is rivalrous or depletable means that only one person can really consume that particular item or that particular part of the item. Okay, I've eaten the cheeseburger, it's gone, you can't eat it. That's something that's depletable or rivalrous. Now, you and I can consume the same police service or the same fireworks, so something like police service and fireworks would be non-depletable. Okay, so these 2 concepts are going to help us determine what type of market failure we're looking at, and B, the degree to which something is in fact a failure, because failures exist on a bit of a continuum, from something that's like a perfect failure to something that's maybe only a little failure. So let's have a look. So let's look at this quadrant here where we've got depletable, excludable, non-depletable, and non-excludable. And let's start over here in the left quadrant, down here. The left top up here, private goods. These are goods that do not result in a failure. Okay, so we're talking about the things that we've been talking about up until this point: cheeseburgers, iPhone, Harry style tickets. They're both depletable and excludable. Okay, so we can't sit in the same seat, we can't eat the same cheeseburger, we can't own the same iPhone, which means they're depletable, and they're excludable because it's possible, fairly cost effective, for a business to stop us from using them if we don't pay. Okay, now let's move to the bottom left here, which is our common access resources. Now these are depletable, which means again the consumers cannot consume the same item, but non-excludable. Okay, so the depletable, we can't consume the same product. However, it's hard for the market in a reasonably cost-effective manner to exclude people who don't pay for these types of goods, for common access resources. Okay, remember we're talking about a world where no government exists, so we're really thinking about, can businesses stop us from consuming them in a cost-effective and practical way. Then we're going to move, common access resources are a failure. Okay, they are a failure by the market. Private goods are not a failure. Then let's have a look at here, the third one, which is public goods. And public goods are both non-excludable here and non-depletable. Okay, and public goods are also a failure by the market. And let's look at that in 2 moments. But first, finally up the top here, we have something that is excludable and non-depletable. We don't learn these in Year 12 economics, so we don't have to worry, but these would be called club goods. Now, your job is to know the definitions and know the differences between these 3 goods here, and just remember that all of these things exist on a bit of a continuum. Okay, so they can be something that could exhibit more excludability or more rivalry than another good. But for example, they could both still be a common access resource or a public good. All right, let's get into the types of failures in the next video. Bye for now.